Then there is the second wave of Gaza grippers, and in this particular case, Will Alexander, who I think was featured, the former another form. What the hell is it with Shortland Street acting in Gaza? Just quietly, but another former actor on Shortland Street, who's now on the second flotilla that's been invaded was the word that is being used by the Israeli government. I had the opportunity to read or to watch a short video that he had done before he was getting on the flight with his girlfriend to go, of all places, to Egypt, where they were first of all heading for a global march for Gaza in Egypt, which I'll tell you about in just a second. But he did this interview and said, we don't have a return flight. So he and his girlfriend were going to do protests and obviously had an idea of joining this Freedom Flotilla coalition. They obviously had this idea that they weren't coming back. Now, no. This is really quite important. So they were going there and, quote unquote, we don't have a return flight. All right. And it was to go and protest about the ghastliness of Gaza and, quote unquote, the inaction and complicity of our own government on that matter. So they got stuck into the government for taking part in genocide, for being complicit in it, for essentially supporting it. They didn't have a return flight and off they flew. And unsurprisingly, on their second rather pathetic ship called the Conscience, which also had, I have to say, emblazoned across it from the river to the sea, which obviously shows they've got a particular view on whether or not Israel should exist either. But anyhow, they've been interrupted, I have to say. And it wasn't until, and it was Hugh that pointed this out, because it wasn't in the original news stories on this, that we all suddenly remembered who Will Alexander was. Will Alexander was the person who was interviewed, I think, by Sean last year. Must have been about the middle of the year. Remember, he was the actor that was going on the hunger strike. Remember, he was going to die of the hunger strike.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was going to die. He was on a no-calorie diet.
And then he had some silly excuse for stopping as well. It was
he stopped because they were huddled around their electronic devices in Gaza City at that time.
Oh yeah, they were concerned about his welfare.
Bombs raining all around him, and they asked him to stop. Don't you remember? They said, no, your suffering is too great. So all those now probably dead people in Gaza had got together to try and save his life. Remember?
Yeah,
although he looked conspicuously healthy after 17 days of apparently not eating anything on his no-calorie diet, whatever that meant. And he called it off in the end because, having lost no weight, no discernible loss of weight at all, he called it off at the end of the day because, well, Fatah or hummus or just the common decent folk of Gaza or some sort of blasted outcrop out there had got together and begged him to stop. They think of nothing else, in Gaza than starving ex-Shortland Street actors in Christchurch.
Good to see that's so compassionate, really, isn't it? I mean,
that one. Well, he's the one. Now, here's the joke. This morning, Will Alexander's family have called on Winston Peters, not on anybody else, on Winston Peters in specific, to do everything in his power to ensure Will and Ava's, it's his girlfriend's, safe return. Now, wait on. Remember I told you they didn't have a return flight? Yeah. Remember I told you that they left accusing Winston Peters and others of being complicit in genocide? Yeah. Remember that one? Remember they were going to Gaza for the global march of Gaza, and apparently he says he's never felt so endangered. He's in Egypt on a global march for Gaza. Israelis nowhere. He's never felt so endangered. Dear Lord, he's dramatic, isn't he? No wonder he couldn't act on Shortland Street. But there you go. So I'm sorry, but can I just say to Winston Peters, Winston, Minister of Foreign Affairs, matey, do not spend 1 cent of taxpayers' money bringing these wastrels home. They left without a return flight. And now they're expecting, after having gone through all the theatrics and all the wringing of the hands and all the sort of acting that, well, frankly, would get you a job on the extra of Shortland Street, they were expecting the New Zealand taxpayer to bring you home and your girlfriend, who I don't even think is a New Zealander. Bugger off, can I say, on behalf of New Zealand. to Will Alexander and his family and his girlfriend, stay over there, we don't want you. And Winston, for God's sake, man, not a single cent and not even an email from some foreign affairs official on this one, please.